So I have this Ruger LCR. I got the 357 Magnum version because I figured it was a bit tougher than the 38 Special version. It's not crazy heavy. The 357 version is about half an ounce less than the SIG 365 unloaded. So if I can carry the SIG 365, I can carry the Ruger LCR. And I want to carry a revolver sometimes. I can throw it in my pocket and not worry about it. I can easily carry a revolver during the colder months. And, I can lie to myself and make up a bunch of other stupid reasons why I would want to carry a revolver instead of a semi auto. But really, when it boils down to it, I just like the idea of carrying a revolver. I just think they're neat. And bonus, since they're harder to shoot than a conventional handgun, you can look down your nose at all the striker fired commoners out there and know that you are superior for your revolver love. The problem is, shooting full house 357 Magnum out of this thing is just a good way to give yourself early arthritis, and shooting defensive 38 Special out of it just kind of sucks. It's doable, but It would be nice if there was less recoil, but there's no such thing as a free lunch. You want a hard-hitting defensive round that's 158 grains and has good velocity? Well, it's going to be a huge pain in the ass to shoot. If you slow it down, you start to get iffy hollow point expansion. You figure, hey, lighten it up, make it down to 125 grains, or hell, drop it down to 110 grains. Then you can really get it moving. But with a short barrel on these things, you might not actually get enough of a speed increase to justify the lighter bullet weight, and you end up losing energy foot-pounds on target. I look at the Smith & Wesson Model 432 Ultra Carry in 32 H&R, or even the Ruger LCR but in 327 Federal, as using just kind of more modern design or more efficient cartridges for snub-nosed revolvers. But I can't afford a new gun right now, so we're going to have to work with what we have. So here's what I want to do. I want to do some testing to see if I can make up a 38 Special defensive hollow point load that I can tolerate regularly shooting in the LCR and still have enough punch to make it a decent defensive round. Because in order to be effective, you need to train with what you carry. And if you only shoot a revolver a couple times a year or only use like really weak plinking ammo, you're never going to get good enough at shooting defensive rounds with it. And if I can't, then I think I'm about done with 38 Special. It could be that since I don't shoot it a lot, maybe I'm just not used to it. I do remember back in the day when I first started shooting handguns and thought like everything had a lot of recoil. Maybe I'll get used to shooting 38 Special out of it. We'll see. In theory, I think the LCR is the best candidate because it does have a pretty good grip on it, and the 357 version isn't quite as light as the 38 Special version. I think we're going to run into velocity issues using the 158 grain hollow points. Looking at the Lucky Gunner gel testing, it seems like most of them don't really reach expansion threshold at 38 Special velocities, so I'm going to focus more on the 125 grain and some of the 110 grain loads. Now, I'm using a 357 Magnum revolver shooting the 38 Special, so I think we're going to stick towards the top end of the published 38 Special data or like plus P data. Now, I'm not going to spend any more money on pistol powder, so here are the powders I have to work with. We got Accurate number 2, Accurate number 5, and Accurate number 7 because it was dirt cheap for a while and I bought up a few bottles of each of them. I also have some HP 38, which I'm told by a bunch of 10-year-old forum posts that it's a real good 38 Special powder. I got Tight Group, which I don't have a ton of confidence that it's going to be the one. And then I also have Unique. But Unique really should just be ruled out since I only have one bottle of it. I'm not going to pay $70 to get another bottle of it. But I guess we can give it a shot. Also, the only hollow points we have are going to be the XTPs, so that's what we're going to work with. I'll buy some other ones if this ends up we're going well. I need baseline velocity data if I'm going to use some oddball jacketed hollow points without real proper load data. So for revolver cartridges or any cartridge where I think I'm going to be shooting lead out of it, I'd like going with the Lee dies and then buy a Lyman M die separately just because I think it works the brass a little bit less and also makes seating bullets like quite a bit easier. All right, so got that. Why would I put the shell holder back where it's supposed to go? Why would I do that? All right, I'm back from the range, and before I begin, I wanted to give 38 Special a full shakedown, so I also purchased some factory 38 Special Plus P ammunition, 125 grain bullets. I saw that these Fiocchi Covert X rounds got some good reviews or had some good gel testing with them, so I figured I'd also give them a shot. I also purchased some 110 grain 357 Magnum defensive rounds. Unfortunately, if you look up any information about the 110 grain bullets, there's nothing but like stuff about flame cutting, forcing cone erosion, or this is only with certain loads and certain handguns, and how the 110 grain commercial rounds are all downloaded to prevent this, or it's maybe not an issue at all. These have a max of 1290 feet per second, so I'm guessing they are downloaded, as most of the 125 grain 357 rounds I'm seeing are like 1500 feet per second velocity. So I'm guessing there is something to this flame cutting thing or forcing cone erosion if the factory rounds are doing it. It seems like it has something to do with the bullet being so short compared to even the 125 grain rounds. I don't know what I'm talking about. I guess the idea behind these 357 Magnum rounds is they're kind of like a plus P plus 38 special load. I did try these out of my 4-inch revolver as well, just to confirm that 1290 feet per second box velocity was from a 4-inch or 5-inch revolver and not a snubby. So here are the results. For the 125 grain loads I worked up, I'm not quite happy with the speed we were getting. I may need to look into getting a bottle of CFE pistol or power pistol to get the most out of 38 special from a snubby in the 125 grain bullets. For accurate number 5, we got 776 feet per second, which is not great. It came out to be 167 foot-pounds of energy. I'm not really going to worry that much about standard deviation and extreme spread with pistol rounds, but I'll mention if they're like really bad. This had an extreme spread of 35 feet per second, so not bad. For HP 38, a bit more flash with these compared to accurate number 5, and a little bit faster at 831 feet per second, which comes out to about 192 foot-pounds of energy. For this load, I went more on the conservative side of 5.3, where the Hornady manual actually lists this up to 5.7 as Winchester 231. So I'm thinking I can bump these up a bit and get close to our factory 125 grain rounds, which I'll show later. Extreme spread on these was about 35 feet per second as well. Now, for the factory 125 grain Fiocchi rounds, we got about 894 feet per second with these, which comes out to about 222 foot-pounds of energy. And I will note with these, 5 rounds, extreme spread was only 10 feet per second. So consistent, nickel plated, seemed to do well in gel testing from what I've seen. Not terribly expensive. I'm pretty sure I probably should have just bought a few boxes of these and called it a day, but where's the fun in that? So I think I can get close to these speeds with bumping up the HP 38 load to the Hornady manual standards. Now, for the 110 grain loads, I was actually pretty happy with these. For accurate number 5, we got 887 feet per second, which comes out to about 188 foot-pounds of energy. Extreme spread of 66, so not that great. I was a little conservative with this one as well, since I actually ended up going with 8 grains of accurate number 5, and the Hornady manual has up to 8.4 grains, so I should be able to bump that up a little bit. For HP 35, I got 931 feet per second, which comes out to about 212 foot-pounds of energy, and back to a good extreme spread again of about 33. And I could bump this charge up by another 0.3 grains and still be at the Hornady reloading manual limit for plus P loading, and I think I can probably get up to around 950 feet per second. So as far as recoil goes in the LCR and 357, I don't really know what I was talking about earlier when I said the 38 special sucks to shoot out of a snubby. I mean, there is recoil, but it's not absurd or anything out of the LCR. I think my memory of shooting 38 special out of a snubby is a little screwed up by my Taurus ultralight 38 special revolver. It's a little bit lighter and has a much worse grip on it than the LCR, which has a nice Hogue grip on it. The Taurus was also my first snub-nose revolver, and it was kind of a mistake getting it. Well, maybe not a mistake, but it does kind of suck to shoot 38 special out of that one compared to the LCR. Also, when I got the LCR, I mostly was trying to shoot 357 Magnum loads out of it, and it is not fun to shoot those. And I think my memory of that and 38 Special was starting to bleed together a little bit, which brings me to the Winchester factory loads. So for the Winchester 357 Magnum, 110 grain semi-jacketed hollow points, we got an average of 1,066 feet per second with an extreme spread of 38. The recoil for this one was for sure more than the 38 Special rounds, but it wasn't that bad, and it was nowhere near regular 357 Magnums out of the LCR. It was, however, noticeably louder and had a massive amount of muzzle flash. It was kind of like a little flashbang, but I feel like I could get quick follow-up shots if need be. And I did test these out of my 4-inch revolver and got an average of 1,256 feet per second, so fairly close to the box velocity. Maybe they were using a 5-inch revolver, who knows. So in conclusion, I think I'm starting to like 38 Special again. I see a lot of potential here. There's a few things I want to do now. For starters, I'm going to keep the Fiocchi 38 Special rounds from my Taurus revolver, as that seems like pretty decent plus P 38 Special rounds. And for the 125 grain bullets, I want to load up another set of rounds for HP 38 at 5.7 grains, which is the Hornady's manual max listed. And I probably will end up breaking down and buying a bottle of CFE pistol in the future just to kind of have around, and because we were pretty close to where we wanted to be. But I'm honestly more interested in what the 110 grain bullets have to offer. For the 110 grain bullets, I want to try a few different things. First, I'm just going to go with the Hornady manual and max out my plus P loads so I can bump up both the Accurate Number 5 and HP 38 a bit. Since I saw some promise with these, I also snagged a box of the 110 grain gold dot hollow points. The Spear manual says Accurate Number 5 performs really well with these, but I'll also try HP 38 along with it. Lastly, I really like the 110 grain 357 Magnum rounds. I think these are going to be my kind of go-to defensive rounds for my 357 LCR. I'll need to test accuracy with them next, but I want to see if I can duplicate this load using XTP bullets or possibly even the 110 grain gold dot bullets. Now, the Spear manual lists the 110 grain bullets as being you should only use those in 38 Special. I'm guessing the copper plating is probably too thin on these to take 357 Magnum pressures or speeds, or maybe it has something to do with that whole flame cutting thing. I don't know. But maybe I can use them if I'm downloading the 357 Magnum to match the Winchester rounds in speed, or maybe work up like a plus P plus load for my 38 Special. I don't know, but I look forward to figuring it out. Also, since I do now have some nickel-plated 38 Special brass, I figured I would also grab a box of Winchester Silvertip 38 Special bullets just so I can have some all silver cartridges, because, why not? Anyway, I'll see y'all next time.